Hey there, I'm Josh with Bass Buzz, and in this video you're going to learn 5 iconic beginner bass lines that are legit impressive sounding. But here's the catch. Beginners often miss specific elements from these riffs, so they end up getting butchered, which nobody wants to hear. So I'm going to show you the crucial little details that'll make you sound less beginner and more badass. And I'll also show you how to take concepts from these riffs and level up your own bass lines. But if you want to skip straight to the riffs without all my talking, you can check the time codes in the description below. First up, Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. We all know how this bass line is supposed to sound. But in reality, this is how beginners like Noob Josh tend to play this. See if you can catch where he goes wrong. Did you hear what went wrong? Noob Josh played the right notes, but he did not nail the rhythm. The reason beginners struggle with this is that even though it's a super singable, recognizable bass line, it uses a rhythmic device that's really common in this funk and disco style called 16th note syncopation. 16th note what? Well, if you take the beat of this song, I've slowed it down a bunch so we have time to think. Each one of those beats, 2, 3, 4, we'd call a quarter note. If we divide each one of those beats into 4 equal parts, that gives us 16th notes, which are the foundation of almost all funk and disco music. And musicians most commonly count those like this: 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So that's 16th notes, but what does syncopation mean? Well, most often we play right on the beat like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, or like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But syncopation is where we play or accent notes on the offbeat, which creates an edgier, funkier rhythmic feeling. So 16th note syncopation means hitting or accenting some of the notes that fall here on the E and the And this sounds like this: 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. See how that creates a completely different, funkier vibe? This comes up in Another One Bites the Dust here and here. We enter the second bar on the of 4, and then we accent the of beat 2. So the whole riff sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4 E and a, 1 and 2 E and a. Beginners can sometimes pull off this rhythm just by ear, but they often fudge it a little bit like Noob Josh, playing some of the notes a little early or a little bit late. And if you're a beginner, you're probably not going to be able to count through all the 16th notes, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3, and play this bass line the way I just did without doing tons of practice at much slower tempos. So check the link in the description. I created a note flight score for you of all 5 of these beginner bass lines so that you can slow them down and play along in a loop as much as you want. So let's walk through the fingering for this real quick. It's just the open E string a bunch, and then 2 fretted notes. You can grab that 3rd fret of the E string with your index finger and the 5th fret of the E string with your pinky finger, and you're done. So here we go at the original tempo. Let's play along with Freddie and the lads. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Walks down the street with the people way down low. Ain't no sound but the sound of his feet. Machine guns ready to go. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this?
Not only will understanding 16th note syncopation help you to play bass lines like this more accurately, it also gives you a simple way you can funk up your own bass lines. Let's say I'm playing a bass line like this. It's okay. It's not super funky though, right? Kind of square. So if I move some notes to the E's or the U's, it'll sound funkier. So let's move that 3rd note over to the E of 3 instead of right on the beat. That sounds like this: 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 and 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 and. Sounds a little funkier, right? What if we do it again? Let's move the 2nd note over to the of beat 2. That'll sound like this: 1, 2 E and a 3 E, 1, 2 E and a 3 E, 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and. Even funkier. Next up is London Calling by The Clash, which should sound like this. But a beginner might play it like this. like this. Oh, shoot. Ugh, crap. So what went wrong? In the first example, Noob Josh totally missed that big bass slide, and in the second one, he got visually lost during the slide and ended up on the wrong fret. That slide is a crucial part of this bass line. It adds so much character and dramatic flair. So, two things you need to know to nail big bass slides like this. Number one, the basic sound of a slide comes from fretting your starting note on the second fret, and then keeping that finger pressed down as you slide it up to your destination, which is the 7th fret. And if you go in slow-mo, you'll hear the note moving one fret at a time, but if you do it at tempo, it just sounds like one smooth slide. And two, to not get lost on a slide like Noob Josh did, you have to look ahead. So once you have your starting note on the 2nd fret, you don't want to look at the 2nd fret anymore. You want to move your eyes to the 7th fret, which is your destination. And then when it's time to slide, you just move your finger to where your eyes are already looking and pluck right on the beat. So play the note, move your eyes, and then move your finger to where your eyes are. Much easier not to get lost. Okay, let's walk through the fingering on this real quick. So we're starting on the index finger on the 2nd fret of the A, move your eyes to the 7th fret, and then move your index finger up to where your eyes are. And then we're gonna use pinky on the 10th fret of the A string and keep that index finger down on the 7th fret. It's really gonna help you with that quick change. Then we go back to the 7th fret, back to the 10th fret, and then roll the pinky over to the D string 10th fret, and then back down, index 2nd fret, slide to index 7th fret, same thing, pinky, index, pinky, and then middle on the 8th fret of the E string. And that's the whole line. Let's play this thing. We'll get 3 clicks and then our big slide starts on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I love bass slides, which is why I covered them in one of the very first lessons in my Beginner to Badass course over at bassbuzz.com. You can use slides to spice up your bass lines without even having to change the notes. Let's say I'm playing something simple like this. It's okay, it's kind of bland, but if I add some slides, it gives it a lot more character, which can help you sound more confident and committed to your playing. Beginner bassline number 3 is Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, which was actually originally played on a pitch-shifted guitar and not on a bass at all, but whatever. You might not think this one's hard, it's just this, right? Anybody can do that, right? But I've heard so many beginners butcher it like this. The issue is the quarter note triplet, which is a rhythm that looks like this, and it means to play 3 evenly spaced notes across 2 beats. Josh, will you please explain what that means before I start crying? So here are the 2 beats in question, beats 3 and 4, and we want 3 evenly spaced notes to take up this amount of time of 2 beats. So first we need to break each beat into 3 even pieces, which will count as 3 and 4 and That gives us 6 notes, but we only want to play 3. So we'll put a rest, which is a moment where nothing is played, on every other spot, the 2nd, 4th, and 6th spots. So on the first beat, we'll play the 1st and 3rd spots, 3 and on the 2nd beat, we play the 2nd spot, 4 and So altogether, 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and So here's what that full first bar of Seven Nation Army looks like. 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and The first 2 beats are divided in 2s, 1 and 2 and the second 2 are divided in 3s, 3 and 4 and Kind of complicated, right? Beginners usually just have to fake this rhythm by ear, but that often results in the notes coming a little early or a little bit late. So you'll need to explore this at very slow tempos and practice a lot if you really want to stop fudging it and master these kinds of triplet rhythms, which again you can do with a note flight link in the description. Let's walk through the fingering for this riff real quick. We're going to start with our pinky on the 7th fret of the A string, pluck that again, and then index on the 5th fret of the D string, pinky on the 7th fret of the A, index on the 5th fret of the A, and then we'll do a shift to middle on the 3rd fret of the A string, index on the 2nd fret of the A string. And that's the whole riff. Pinky, pinky, index, middle, index. This is just one fingering you could use to play this. It's taught with a lot of different fingerings. You could move this G up here, or you could move the C and the B over to the E string, which eliminates the shifting. That all works fine. The only thing I don't recommend is playing it here. Hear how wimpy it sounds on those thinner strings on the open position? Just don't do it. Jack White does not approve. All right, let's play this with the band. 4 clicks and we're in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Triplets can make an otherwise straightforward bass line a little quirkier. Let's say I'm playing something simple like this. I could add some triplets. It gives me something interesting to mess with that sounds a little catchier than just dividing the beat in 2s. All right, ready for the next bass line, Noob Josh? Huh? What? Sorry, I was just clicking like on this video and then subscribing to Bass Buzz. This content is so informative and stimulating. I even clicked the bell so I get notified when new lessons come out. Walking on the Moon by The Police is our next bass line, which should sound like this. But when beginners play it, it usually sounds like this. Did you hear the difference? Noob Josh got the notes right, and he got the rhythms right, but he missed the note lengths. Check it out, here's what these waveforms look like. In the correct version, the first note in each group is cut short, and the other 2 are held long. Short, long, long. In the incorrect version, the middle note is short instead of the first note. Long, short, long. Beginners do this wrong because there's a note change from C to D right here, and beginners tend to leave silence during note changes while they're setting up their fingers. But note length should be chosen based on the sound you want, not by what your fingers want to do. Alright, let's talk fingering real quick. This riff is just 2 phrases of 3 notes each, and both times those notes should go short, long, long, short, long, long. So we're going to start on our index finger on the 3rd fret of the A, short, lift that note to make it short, and then press again with the index, keep it pressed down, and then add the pinky finger on the 5th fret to make sure you get short, long, long. And then in the second phrase, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, cut that short by lifting, short, long, long. We're going to go index on the 2nd fret of the D string, keep that note ringing until the very last second when you pluck the A string 3rd fret, fretting with the middle finger. So middle, index, middle. And again, you want short, long, long. Okay, let's play this thing. We have a 2-beat pickup, so there's going to be a long count off. We'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, da, da, da. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Don't forget short, long, long. Short, long, long. Nailing your note lengths is a huge deal. Like I talked about in my Are You an Intermediate Bass Player video, incorrect note length is one of the first things that tips me off to know that somebody is a beginner. You can totally transform a bass line just by changing the note length. Here's just a simple quarter note line playing long notes. And here's all short notes. Or I could do short, long, short, long. Those would all create very different feelings within a song, so experimenting with note length is a great way to tweak a bass line if you like the notes but something still feels a little off. Last up, Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine, one of their many awesome riffs, which should sound like this. if you're not prepared, it might sound like this. The trick with this riff is the hammer-ons. A hammer-on is when you play a note by smashing down with your fretting hand without plucking. And if you're not used to them, hammer-ons can come off super weak and inaudible like Noob Josh's, or you might just skip the hammer-ons entirely and play this whole bass line with all plucked notes, which would sound really weird, like this. So the trick is to fret harder than you normally would on the hammer-on notes, hard enough to get the string making sound, and keep the other finger down you were using right before the hammer-on so you don't lose the previous note too early. This will probably feel awkward and your fingers will get tired, but you'll get stronger with practice. Let's walk through the fingering for this riff. We're starting on an open low D string, which means you need to tune your E string a whole step down to a D string, so you're tuned D, A, D, G. This is really common for Rage Against the Machine riffs. Okay, so we've got our open low D, and then index finger on the 3rd fret of the A to pinky on the 5th fret of the A. That's going to be your first hammer-on. So you pluck the 3rd fret note, hammer the 5th fret note as hard as you can. It's going to feel like as hard as you can until you get a little stronger. And then pluck the open low D, and then 3rd fret of the D string with the index finger, and then hammer on. I just plucked it, but I meant hammer on. Hammer on the 4th fret of the D string with your middle finger, and then pinky on the 5th fret of the A string for a pluck. Open D string, fret the 2nd fret of the E string with the index finger for a pluck, and then hammer, middle finger on the 3rd fret, pluck the 2nd fret again, and then we're back to the top. Let's play this with the band. We're just gonna get a quick count off of 3 and 4 and then ooh, we'll be in. Here we go, 3 and 4 and. There are so many ways to use hammer-ons in your bass lines. First of all, it gives you another way to articulate, so you don't just have to go pluck, 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 pluck all the time. You can actually have some notes glide into each other a little more smoothly. It also can make it easier to play fast because you don't have to pluck every single note you play. Some of those who work hammer-ons are the same who play hammer-ons. Some of those who work hammer-ons are the same who play